Hello, everybody. My name is Nate the Great, and you are listening to Let's Talk, where I take a certain subject and I talk about it briefly because that's what makes America awesome. So, the subject I'm going to be talking about today is going to be talking about the 2015 movies all the way till the 2016 movies. Some of the movies that I've seen or I've heard of. Definitely going to be something that you guys are going to want to get into. So, 2015. What can we say about that? Oh, wow. There were a lot of great movies that came out in 2015. This was the year that movies just almost revolutionized the theater business. I mean, you had great movies like The Avengers 2, Terminator, supposedly Jurassic World, Star Wars, so many different movies. 50 Shades of Grey came out, but I'm not even going to touch that with a 75.5-foot pole, so thank your lucky stars that I will not be discussing that monstrosity. At least that's what I hear from a lot of people. So, instead, what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about some of the movies that I've seen, my reviews on them, and going from there. So first going to be talking about Avengers 2, sequel to Avengers. You'd think it'd be a very basic storyline, but it's actually a pretty good one. For the most part, basically, Age of Ultron, everybody knows Ultron as a new villain that they're trying to work with, the Avengers 2. So, looking into it, I didn't know what to expect. I haven't really been in that much in the way of the Marvel Universe, but as a fan of, movies like Spider-Man, stuff like that, this movie right here was honestly, hands down, amazing. They introduced new characters, they introduced some old faces. Honestly, a great movie. Definitely going to give this an A-. Not saying that there's anything wrong with it. I just know that there was a lot more other movies that actually blew that out of the park. So, going from there, talking about, what is the next movie that there is to talk about? I know, Ant-Man. Another great movie connecting with Marvel. And thinking about it, it was one of those things where you saw Paul Rudd and you thought, okay, this might be interesting. He's different person that you might not expect to be a hero. Evelyn Lilly, great heroine, and also Michael Douglas. What more is there to say other than that? So basically, a lot of people know what happens throughout the movie. Thief becomes a superhero, and he eventually finds himself finding a suit that makes him smaller, and he takes control of ants, basically. Some people might think, oh, that's a stupid idea. It honestly isn't. It was really a good movie, and the plot line, the casting, the acting, great. Loved every single minute of it. So definitely going to give it a B. Definitely worth watching, and definitely worth your time and money. I still need to get that DVD, by the way. Anyway, so what would be the next movie that I would go and see? Let's see here. Yes, I believe that the next one would be the Jurassic World, the cornerstone of basically what the movies were definitely going to be throughout this year. So, question is, what exactly happened during the Jurassic World? Well, basically almost like repetition. You see dinosaurs, you try to recreate them, but this time you try to keep them in control. And you figure, okay, so basically we're going to make sure that no problems happen like they do with John Hammond and everything like that. No problem, everything like that. Chris Pratt plays a very good and very well, I guess you could say, attractive handler who actually controls raptors. Yes, we finally have control over raptors. Or do we? Because unfortunately, the big bad dinosaur known as the Indominus Rex, which was part T-Rex and also part raptor, turned the raptors against them. Sounds like an interesting movie, I guess, to say the least. Still very good. Everything went by very well. It ended and culminated with a huge, massive Royal Rumble, basically, between Raptor, Indominus Rex, Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it ended with the Mosasaurus from the sea coming in and giving the final blow. Great movie as is. A for effort, and definitely A for movie quality. Now this movie is going to be very interesting because it definitely sets the bar for what you can expect in the 2016 era. And what do I mean by 2016 era? Well, 2016 is going to be the year for Disney, and this movie started off was Cinderella, the live action movie. And before any of you judge, I did see it with a woman, so it kind of only partially makes me less of a man, I guess. So the Cinderella movie was basically how you would expect it from the original Cinderella movie, except less singing, more story, and less talking from the animals, I guess you could say. But honestly, all in all, it was a great movie. So giving it definitely a B, because A, it's Disney, and B, it's definitely going to set the bar for what you can expect from the year following. Now on to another great movie that I honestly enjoyed a heck of a lot, and that was Ted 2, the sequel to the original Ted 1. Mark Wahlberg and Seth MacFarlane make a return, and honestly, it was a good movie. I was very confused on why they decided to replace Mila Kunis with Amanda Seyfried, but hey, I'm not dissing Amanda Seyfried at all. She's definitely a great actress, and I was definitely looking forward to seeing how she did. She resumed a great comedy role. It was just one of those great, one-of-a-kind movies. Unfortunately, it just did not really it did not go above and beyond what the first movie was. Not saying that it was a horrible movie, it just had a very big time competition with the first Ted. So definitely going to give that one a B as well. So going on from there, we have The Gallows. Horror movie, first person. We already have that with Paranormal Activity. It's like, why are we doing this again? But basically how the trailers really put it out, it was supposed to be the next Freddy Krueger, the next Jason Voorhees. But in my opinion, it just did not really go that much of anywhere. It's first person, people were getting killed, yeah, no problem. There were supposed to be a lot of jump scares. I really only jumped to one, maybe, of those jump scares. And it was honestly one that I saw coming, which was even more sad. But the fact of the matter was, it was still a pretty okay movie, plus the storylines here the ending was actually very good, in which we actually saw a bit of a turn, a bit of a swerve, I should say, in which one of the girls was actually the daughter of Charlie, and the stage manager, I guess you could call her, was actually the girlfriend of the one known Charlie. So it ended with that. Very interesting to say the least. Definitely would give it a C+, as in it was average, but it was better than a lot of the Monday Night Raws that have happened in the last few weeks. Hashtag shots fired. So we go from there to actually another interesting movie was Pixels. Pixels, basically you think, okay, this ought to be an interesting movie enough. You have aliens, they come down and they invade us in the form of classic video games. Seems like an interesting story enough. What could possibly go wrong? They add in Adam Sandler. And unfortunately, guys, Adam Sandler just did not really fit the bill for what you would expect from a hero. He just was goofy like always, and it was just one of those things where it's like, okay. The action paced, it was great. There was only like a 15-minute period where the action kind of slowed down a bit. It wasn't all bad, but it was just one of those things you would expect another from an Adam Sandler movie. So, again, giving that one a bit of a C, but it wasn't as bad as it probably sounds. Going in from there, we have The Mockingjay Part 2, the conclusion, epic conclusion to every single one of the Hunger Games, and quite possibly, supposedly, it was supposed to be the end of the Hunger Games completely, as Katniss looked to take it to President Snow. Definitely did. Was one of the great movies, and they had to help Peeta get his memory back, which they eventually did. But all in all, it was a really heartfelt movie and had a lot of twists and turns, especially at the end, because I honestly did not see Katniss, killing Julianne Moore's character. But I can understand why, because she was almost making a Hunger Games reincarnation. But in the end, it had, Peeta and Katniss ending up together, living happily ever after with their 2 kids. Definitely did not see the ending coming. So all in all, B+, great movie, and definitely a great way to end the series. Now, unfortunately, they're going to be making a pre-trilogy. All I could say is, don't book a crybaby. Hashtag Star Wars Trilogy, pre-trilogy. Yes, trilogy and pre-trilogy in the tweet. Which actually goes into the final movie, next to another movie. Well, actually, I'll start with this one. The other movie that I saw was "Twas the Night Before," I believe it was, or the night before. Seth Rogen movie. Okay, basically what you would expect. James Franco comes in here, have a couple of dumb girls here, you have something like that. But it was just basically about three friends who wanted to spend the rest of their, spend the last big time deal together because they're always making Christmas Eve and Christmas Day into something very special. So, all in all, it ended up to be a pretty funny movie. Some of them that are religiously, firm, I would probably not suggest you going to see this movie. But all in all, funny movie, but what you would expect from Seth Rogen, blah, blah, blah. So all in all, give us a B minus. It was an okay movie to say the least. Now we get on to the main one, Star Wars 7. First of all, grading A+. Definitely one of the greatest movies in quite a while. It's definitely set the bar high. And the movie monetary value just increased tenfold. It surpassed Jurassic World. It surpassed all other Star Wars. It even surpassed Avatar, which was the most high-marketed movie in a long time. Everything in here was great. Some people were complaining, well, there are too many chase scenes. Well, there are too many of these things. Well, the big bad guy is a crybaby and he has anger issues. So what? It was still a great movie to see a lot of great, original characters like Han Solo, Chewbacca, C-3PO, Leia, even though it looked like she had more Botox than certain other people. And then it finally ended with a stare-off between Rey and Luke Skywalker, still getting bones, chilling deals. It was amazing, awesome, loved every single minute of it. That is it for the 2015 movies. So now we are going to transition into the 2016 movies. What can you expect in 2016? I'll tell you what. So on March 25th, we will get the epic final movie between Batman and Superman in Batman vs. Superman. Basically taking two great DC comic characters and pitting them against each other. Now, the interesting part about this is that it seems like they may have been giving away a little too much with the trailers, but at the same time, it still has a lot of questions for me. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what can we expect on this? Are we going to see them basically tear into each other, or are we going to see something amazing between the two? But it also featured a surprise spoiler in which Wonder Woman makes a cameo. And I remember Superman and Batman saying, "Is she with you? I thought she was with you." Hopefully Ben Affleck doesn't do a too bad of a horrible job in this movie, but I think he's going to do okay for the most part. So basically putting the Man of Steel against the Dark Knight against each other. Looking forward to seeing how this matchup goes. So be sure to tune into it. March 25th, I believe it was. Yes, March 25th, 2016. Definitely worth watching. And now we go into the Disney part of it, in which we will indeed see the Jungle Book coming out on April 15th. Live action movie. Definitely a very interesting group cast. You have Scarlett Johansson playing the sinister Snake Kaa. You have Christopher Walken playing King Louis. You have so many different characters in this movie, and it is looking to be a really good movie. I think that Disney's going to really have a great turnaround with a lot of the things that they're going to be doing. So definitely look into it. Live action Jungle Book airing April 15th. We go into May, in which we see Captain America Civil War. We get to see Captain America almost show his true colors as he's trying to help a friend and basically have an epic battle against Tony Stark's Iron Man. Another great movie in which we're seeing a little bit of a breakdown between the Avengers, but going to be interesting to see how this movie goes. So be sure to look into that. They also have Finding Dory for Disney. Dory's basically having all of these different dreams, and she wants to find her family. Nemo, and of course, I'm trying to remember what the name of his dad is. For some reason I'm thinking Klaus. So definitely a great sequel to the Finding Nemo movie. Definitely want to look into it. That is going to be June 17th of this year. We go from that to a bit of a surprise, in my opinion, and that's going to be Pete's Dragon. Now, I don't know if they're going to be reanimating it or if they're going to be making this into a more live-action deal, but Pete's Dragon will be coming out on August 12th, and it's going to be interesting. I'm honestly hoping that they have the couple songs from the original Pete Dragons soundtrack. So looking forward to seeing how that goes. We will have